Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hello, it's Rita. It's Tuesday, and here we are at the Travel Nurse Channel. And what inspired me today to talk about career advancement? Well, I stumbled upon it. I stumbled upon the various career advancements I made over the many years as a nurse. I guess I'm still a nurse. I'm still a licensed RN, not practicing too much. But I kind of stumbled upon it. So isn't it nice to get guidelines? And I think what inspired me is we had a lot of wind and rain in Southern California. You can see the sun is back out. And I changed my purple curtains to light sheer gray and white. And now I have to paint the room. So one step at a time. But yeah, what inspired me was that I took a lunch break in my own home during the rain and the wind, and they had added a new season to one of my favorite shows. I think it's on Netflix. It's called Call the Midwife. And it's set in it started in World War II in England, and now it's post-World War II. So the fashions changed, and the midwives are part of a group of nuns and nurses, lay and nuns, that do home births and then run a clinic and all the different hiccups. So what's happening now to stay alive in a world of advancement and hospitals and medicines and a variety of things, the older nurses that work with this convent and this clinic, or the more seasoned nurses, are mentoring and training new grads and bringing them into the fold. And so I thought about that. I thought they're advancing. They don't realize it, but they are. They're discovering new things. It was the beginning of understanding gestational diabetes. It was the beginning of understanding what a midwife could do when there were hiccups in the birth. Like my daughter had, it took a long time in the hospital to figure out that the baby's hands were on her face and that they had to push them out of the way so that she could deliver. So she was pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally the doctors saw that the hands were there and was able to get them out of the way. There was an episode on Call the Midwife where one hand was there and preventing the delivery, and the mother was getting very tired, and it was one of the training. Anyway, I love that show. So you're hearing all about that show. But that's what inspired me to talk about travelers advancing their careers. And so I jotted them down because, you know, I run off and I get distracted. And let me just do a quick intro for anybody that's new here. We are the Travel Nurse Channel. We are a conduit for people in the healthcare field, primarily nurses, but many, many other healthcare workers are traveling, and doctors and nurses and CNAs and LVNs and advanced practice nurses and PAs and NPs and ultrasound techs and physical therapists, and you name it in healthcare, and they are traveling. Even medical assistants, and just so many people. So thank you for what you do. We're here for you. We want you to have a home away from home. We try to talk about subjects that are of interest, that are current. We've talked a lot about the pandemic. We've talked a lot about rates. We've talked about the good and bad and the ugly of travel nursing. And, you know, I feel like, I believe that even when you're feeling burnt out, travel is a great conduit because it's only 90 days, right? Some assignments are shorter, some are longer, but the traditional travel assignment is 13 weeks, which equals to about 3 months. And if you're feeling like, this is rugged and I'm run down and I can't listen to another complaint, it ends, right? And so you can start fresh. You can start fresh in a new location with a fresh team. So one of the beauties of travel is that if you are having a hard time, it's a short stint and you'll make it through and then you'll start fresh, right? Okay, so anyway, I jotted down 5 or more tips on how you can advance your career, how you can get promoted, and let's just start. I wrote them down because can't trust myself, and then we can refer to it as we go on. Okay, so stay motivated. Let me see if I can be straighter with it. Let's see. Straighter. Okay, there we go. Stay motivated, people. You can increase your knowledge while traveling. You can meet new people while traveling and network and so forth. We'll talk more about that. You can enjoy your job, and I just mentioned that there are times where you're not always enjoying yourself, but in travel, you have the opportunity to change, right? And so stay motivated, increase your knowledge, meet new people, enjoy your job, and then my bonus number 5, mentor. You can find a mentor, you can be a mentor. And then I wrote some more stuff, which we'll get to, but let's just break it down, right? Let's break it down. Staying motivated. Well, I feel like staying motivated. First of all, you chose your career, and your plan was to be a good nurse or a good nurse practitioner or a good CNA and a good therapist, whatever it is you've chosen, and you think, I've been doing this for 5 years or more years or 3 years or whatever. What's my next step? What do I want to do with my career? And so after 2.5 years, you decided to travel, whatever the reason was. Maybe your husband relocated, maybe your boyfriend relocated, maybe your girlfriend relocated. And so you thought, well, I have this great career. I can travel and follow my loved one, right? So, but now I've been traveling for a year and a half. So that's multiple assignments, right? That's 4 or 5 assignments, maybe 6. And I really want to think about my career. Actually, I was really inspired by a leader I had when I worked in the ICU in that town, Tampa, say, in Florida, or Austin, Texas. That is the kind of leader I want to be. She was a listener. She was a helping hand. She was constantly bringing new information to the table. That's the kind of career advancement I'd like. I'd like a leadership role. So while traveling, you can stay motivated by some of those experiences, right? So that's staying motivated. That's my take on staying motivated. Increase your knowledge. Increase your knowledge, of course. So you go to the table working in an ICU or working in an ER and bringing to it what you've learned as a student, what you've learned in your career, and picking up tips along the way from other people. So that's taking advantage of resources, that's gaining your knowledge, and as you continue to keep learning, you bring more to the table. Your book of knowledge is growing into a Bible. So once you gain your knowledge, let others know about it, right? Don't just gain knowledge and hang on to it and covet it. That's not gonna, that's good for you to have that knowledge and to store it and to be pleased with it and to utilize it in helping your patients and your patients' families and in your teams. but sharing it, letting others know about it is great. So maybe you learned more about cardiac patients. Maybe you learned more about equipment. Maybe you learned more in orthopedics. Maybe you learned more in prioritizing in the ER. So you definitely want to share that, right? So that knowledge becomes a great resource for you in your career. You know what? I have a comment line. I just want to make sure it's open. Okay, so we're live here at the Travel Nurse Channel on Tuesdays from 10 to 11, and we welcome recruiters and companies that employ travel nurses and travel healthcare workers. We encourage our travel nurses to check in. We encourage anyone that's just checking in that is interested in this travel career to give us your 2 cents. We're live right now. If you want to send a message on Facebook, we're archived on both Facebook and YouTube. I think we're live on YouTube as well. So I'm sure of it because I set that up before we go live to make sure both the YouTube and the Facebook we're interacting. So so we're here for you, and I welcome your comments, your concerns. You know, if you have if there's something you like, something you don't like, a subject we haven't covered, please, I welcome it. I welcome it. I can't do anything about something I'm not aware of. So your input and your comments, whatever they are going to be appreciated. Let's see. So keep learning, keep accumulating knowledge, and then share it. And these are all paths for you improving your career and for getting yourself promoted. Okay. Meet new people. Meet new people, I think, is super positive. And what happens when you meet people? So, for example, if you are going to a party and it's maybe more somebody else's idea, maybe you wanted to stay in and watch Call the Midwives, but you're invited to go to an event, and it could be daytime, could be nighttime, and you're going to meet new people, and you're kind of like, ugh, now I have to, you know, put on lipstick or clean up a little bit and go meet new people. But then you meet new people and you learn new things, or you get a different perspective. You know, if they're people that have to do with healthcare or not, maybe they have to do with community service, maybe they have to do with education. It's always an opportunity when you meet new people. Well, guess what? When you travel to different towns, to different states, to different hospitals, to different facilities, to different clinics, to different skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities. When you do that, you do meet new people. You meet new people to care for, new doctors and nurses to learn from, to share with. So meeting new people is a very positive thing. And even if you're shy, there's still going to be opportunities for you because you will be working not alone, but with others, right? So there's that. Let's see. Enjoy your job. Now, I touched on that. There are many, many times that we enjoy our job, but there are days, there are times where we do not. So it's important to enjoy your job, to reflect back to when you did enjoy your job. And let's see. Here, enjoy your job. This is from a resource called RN Network, and I'm going to read it to you about enjoying your job. It's crucial that nurses actually enjoy the work they do if they're looking for a promotion. If you are negative and unhappy at work, that doesn't make you pleasant to work with, right? So you have to leave that at the door. Maybe you are unhappy. Maybe your pet is ill. Maybe you watch too much news and you're very distressed. And, you know, people are broadcasting their political opinions constantly. Why aren't we just working together for solutions? You know, it's frustrating and it's disturbing. It can bring you down. You don't want to cut yourself off from your career goals, for your leadership goals, whatever your career goals are. So you have to think of that upward spiral that you want, and try to enjoy your job. So if you're having a hard time, try to remember the passion and the enthusiasm you had at the beginning when you were a student, when you were seeking your career, when you're seeking your education. Try to rekindle that passion. Let's see what else they say here at RN Network. Nurses who are passionate about what they do will be more likely to get a promotion since they're energized to work hard, excited to help others, equally pleasant with coworkers and patients. Nurses in a rut can find ways to ignite their passion again, or even find a new passion. Travel nurses have this advantage of starting new jobs frequently, which gives you more opportunities to discover new passions and reduce burnout. There you go. There you go. That's what I was saying. Sometimes it's rough. It's been rough during COVID. It is rough to leave the familiar. And I'm in a personal flux right now because my space is bigger than I need. My property is bigger than I need, and it's burdensome at my age to do all the work. And do I stay or do I go? So I'm in flux right now. So change is not always easy, and I need to discover a way to stay positive and make a decision. So my decision right now is not to make a decision and to just get rid of stuff. Yeah, you will slowly see this room clearing out. What do I need big file cabinets for? Everything's in the cloud, isn't it? So anyway, I always digress. I'm sorry. You want to enjoy your job, and you need to find ways to rekindle your passion. And as a traveler, you do have that advantage. You're in a limited job role, right? It's usually 13 weeks, and you can look forward to the next one. And maybe where you were, it was too rural. Or maybe where you were, it was too busy a city. Maybe you were in the heart of Los Angeles, you know, pacing the hot pavement back and forth from your living accommodations to your big university hospital or your big cancer center, whatever role you took in your traveling to LA. Maybe it just overwhelmed you. Maybe you've had enough of the big city, and you want to, your next assignment, you want it to be a little bit quieter, a little simpler, maybe closer to nature. Although anywhere in Southern California is a hop and a skip to the mountains, to the ocean, to beautiful, beautiful nature reserves that we have. But yeah, whatever it takes, I think the advantage for the traveler is a little bit more accessible than the staff positions. And there's nothing wrong with the staff positions. They work well for many, many people. But I'm talking today about career advancement and promotions, and what that means and how that works for a travel nurse. So we've talked about these things on my list: staying motivated, gaining knowledge, meeting new people, enjoying your job. Let's talk about mentoring. Mentoring. It's important to find one, and then it's important to be one. So what is a mentor? Is it something you sign up for? Is it a person you hire? No, not necessarily. As a student, you were mentored by your professors, by your clinical managers and so forth. But as a traveler, you're it's you, maybe you're traveling with a partner, but you're not necessarily working together. Maybe your travel partner is a friend. Maybe it's somebody new you decided to have a roommate. Maybe it's another nurse. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's somebody in another healthcare role. So where do you find that mentor? It's easy enough. And I'm going to read more from this wonderful resource I found when I decided on this subject. Be a team member. Find a mentor, be a mentor. Okay. Promotions, and that's what we're talking about, career advancement and promotions. and they're going to be competitive. That's okay. Competition is not a negative thing. So let's see. It doesn't mean that nurses should compete against their own. Doesn't mean that nurses should compete against their coworkers. Nurses who work well in teams can also do a great job leading teams. The best supervisors know that. Even though nursing shifts are long and tiresome, try to help your coworkers and bosses wherever you can, even if it's something as simple as running an errand or grabbing a snack for someone who's extra busy. Okay, I want to interject here. For the many, many years that I worked as a nurse, and then I mentored my staff that I hired for mostly per diem positions. I had one wonderful, wonderful nurse, a military nurse that, now the military nurses, this particular nurse was a nurse of color and was a military nurse, had the most fabulous attitude, had strong, strong skills, was constantly cheerful. Sometimes there's a jealousy when people come up against something just someone so robust and so wonderful, and there's a little jealousy there. But at any rate, some of my nurses, particularly the male nurses, and this was not only a per diem nurse working for a company, making a good rate, it was a male nurse and a nurse of color, right? So 3 strikes there where you stand out, where you can't really just blend in. And I'm not saying you should blend in. He had a lot to offer. So at any rate, he was working either ICU or telemetry, and he was working, I believe it might have been a night shift. Oh my gosh, so long ago. But anyway, I get a call from the client saying that he was actually actively being too helpful. Have you ever? He was offering to help the other nurses. And so I'm thinking, are you kidding me? But of course, I have to hear what the client has to say, and I have to act upon it and so forth. So I listened to what they had to say. They said that he didn't seem to be paying enough attention to his patients. Now, keep in mind, it was a night shift, and that he was being a little too helpful with the other nurses. So I just, they didn't give me any clear examples. They just told me that. So I had a conversation with that wonderful nurse, and I went through the shift and had him explain what he did and what care he gave, and then I asked him, was he helping others care for their patients? And he did. So what he said to me was absolutely wonderful in my mind, but didn't sit well with the client. So I did get back to the client, and I said I did counsel him, and he will scale it back a little bit, and I think they'll be happy with his performance in the future, which they were. But here's the thing. If you're going to be helpful, you have to make sure your job is done first, particularly in the busy work environment that we have nowadays. But he was, I think it was a cardiac, maybe a high-level CICU, like high-level telemetry unit, not where they did surgery, but where the patients were closely monitored, just maybe like a step-down unit. And he took care of his patients. There's not a lot of family members when you're working night shifts. So it was probably 7P to 7:30A. And he took care of his 4 or 5 patients. Everybody was doing well. He was caught up on his meds, and he looked around and people were running around. What can I do? And so he did that numerous times throughout his shift, which is great. Grab a snack, run an errand, make a bed, bathe a patient. He could do all that. He could be super helpful. And it wasn't well received, unfortunately. But that is being a good team player. Okay, so now finding a mentor and being a mentor. If you are working with a leader and you've gone to them with some maybe concern or not 100% familiar with the machine they were using, and that leader was helpful, directed you to the right resource, or gave you the information you were seeking, or guided you to where to get that information, or who to call. It could have been a technical piece. That leader was your mentor. And you, like this wonderful nurse, you can also be a mentor. Maybe somebody that you were being helpful to said, wow, you're such a good time manager. Can you help me? I just never seem to have enough time to chart and so forth. And then, you know, this seasoned nurse, this wonderful traveler, in this case, I was talking about a per diem nurse that was just assigned as needed on the days he was available from away from his Navy job. You start to become a mentor. And so keep track. That's another thing I want to say about all these opportunities for career advancement is keep track. Keep track of what you're learning, make notes, maybe have a journal, maybe in your car. You know, maybe you just want to take a couple of deep breaths and reflect before you drive or get on a bus or however you get back to your living accommodations, is maybe keep track of what's going on in your travel assignment. Just to jot a note. The other day I met a gal, I had seen her before. She always just is so cheerful. She looks up and she smiles and she thinks about what she's going to say. Not a nurse. I don't actually know what she does for a living, but I hadn't seen her in a while, so I greeted her and I had asked her her name again. Her name was Debbie. And I don't even know how we got onto this subject, but she mentioned something, and it was about knitting. And then she showed me a picture on her phone, and great resource, because I have a friend who's a mad knitter. And now I know where to go if I want to get her a gift, and I do want to get her a gift. So I'm going to go to that site. Yeah, it's called Whether or Not. The site, I don't remember. I think it's the Yarnery. And Whether or Not is this little kind of project that you only do a little bit at a time, whether or not. So whatever the weather is and whatever colors you've chosen, you knit whatever it is, 4 rows or 14 rows. You're knitting a scarf, say, or a shawl, and whatever the weather is, if it's very warm that day or very, you know, say between 50 and 60 or 30 and 40, you knit that color. And at the end of the project, you have something quite colorful. So I think it's a neat project. But that was, she mentored me. She also was a newer person. We're not old friends or anything. I just see her from time to time. And you really gain a lot from little connections and little learning, teaching opportunities. And travelers probably have a little more of that, because every opportunity, every travel assignment is going to put you in a new place. And some may be so good that you stay there. I've known travelers to stay for at least a year. There usually is a cap on the time you can renew travel assignments. And at the end of that cap, they're probably going to want to hire you. Or maybe you went, that was great, back to traveling, you know. So, okay. So I wrote down a few other things that occurred to me, and they kind of scribbled over there. Wait, there's more, but there's more. I'm not getting any comments today. Everybody must be so busy. But don't worry, this is all recorded, and you can check into the Travel Nurse channel and weekly get new conversations, okay? And I'm really working hard to get some people. Everybody's so darn busy. Okay, so more. One thing you need to do if you're looking for a promotion, if you're looking for career advancement, is make preparation. Do some of these things. Stay motivated, gain more knowledge, meet new people, enjoy your job, find a mentor, be a mentor. Prepare for that career that you want. And the other thing is ask, oh wait, that's hard. That's a hard one. Okay, prepare for what you want. And I would add to that, know what you want. What do you want? Do you want to switch from being a telemetry nurse to an IC nurse? Do you want to switch from being an ER nurse to a mother-baby nurse? Do you want to continue to work with oncology patients, but not in the acute setting? Maybe you want to switch to an outpatient clinic. Do you want to be a leader? Do you think you have what it takes from working with mentors and working as a travel nurse? Do you want a leadership position? So know what you want, right? Prepare for the career that you want with all these little steps we've talked about, and then ask for what you want, which I think is kind of tough, and you have to be very, very clear. So what do you want? Do you just want more pay? Have you been traveling with your company for several years and getting great reviews? Or do you want a leadership role? And find out what opportunities are there for leadership roles. Maybe you can travel as a nursing supervisor. Maybe you can travel as a leader in a clinic. So know what you want, prepare for what you want, and it is difficult. You may go to your leader, which may be your staffing company, maybe your travel company, or maybe if you're considering switching back to a role in a staff position as a leader, or what opportunities might be there for you after your travel experiences. You have to know what you want. You have to prepare. And I think that asking, as nurses, I think we're more in the giving role and the supporting role, and not the self-centered role. But you can't get what you want unless you consider yourself. So be prepared, right? Make all these steps in learning and gaining knowledge, being a good team player, and so forth, and get to that point where you ask for what you want. Yeah. Know what you're asking for, why you want it, and why you're qualified for it. So you have to have those pieces. And you've put in the time, you've earned all kinds of merits, you've kudos, from patients and clients and customers and leaders, and you can do it. That's ultimately, you can do it. If you want career advancement, absolutely, it's there for you. I think it's a real opportunity, being a traveler, to gain those promotions and those career advancements. I hope that I've enlightened some of you, if that's something you've been thinking about. I'm not seeing any chit chat going on there. Now, normally I stay on for the better part of an hour between 10 and 11 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time, but we are archived, and so if you can't tune in on Tuesdays between 10 and 11 Pacific Standard Time, tune in anytime. The Travel Nurse Channel is here. We want you to feel like you have people that are thinking about you, that understand what it's like to be out there traveling. Hopefully we've given you some tips today if advancement and promotion are on your list. And yeah, and learn how to ask for what you want. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. You gotta buff yourself up for it. Talk to your friends and family and mentors, and approach like what do you do if you go to your leader and say, I really need to talk about something I've been wanting for a while, and they're like, what? You want more pay? Well, yes, and here are the reasons why. Can you think about it? Would you take a moment, set up a time to talk to that leader? Don't just barge in on them. Make a date, right? Make a date. I have something important I'd like to discuss with you. Do you have any time today or coming up? Be patient, right? Be polite. Always be polite. You can do it. You can advance. Okay, hang on now. I'm going to put my little banner up here for you. My girl, my little actress. And I will see you next week, hopefully with a guest. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Rita at the Travel Nurse Channel. Hey, you can text me, you can email me, you can call 800-737-6518. My email is Rita, R-I-T-A, at travelnursechannel.com, and I will see you soon. Hang on. Commercial time.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.